Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Battle Through the Heavens Part 220 based on novel. So let's start. The chief of the Hall of Souls was slightly startled after hearing Xiao Yan agree so readily. He deeply searched Xiao Yan before faintly laughing. You are indeed sufficiently heroic. Since this is the case, friends whose strengths have reached the 4th star of the Doshan class should attack with me and finish off the purifying demonic lotus flame. The rest will have to handle the fire slaves. Leave the other fire slaves to us. Xiao Yan slightly grinned. He turned his head and softly spoke to Xi Yang and Ji Yu Nanhai. Both of you should be careful when joining hands to deal with the purifying demonic lotus flame. Try not to use your full strength to prevent someone from launching a sneak attack on you. Xi Yang and Ji Yu Nanhai nodded. They were not ordinary individuals. They were well aware of the current situation. If one was not careful when cooperating with those people from the Hall of Souls, one would be left with nothing. Xiao Yang, I cannot join the attack against the purifying demonic lotus flame. Once I approach it, this seal of yours will lose its effect. Moreover, I will also be controlled. Xiao Chen spoke in a hoarse voice. Ancestor Xiao Chen, there is no need for you to fight. We should always hold something back, Xiao Yang smiled as he replied. He was worried about the people from the Hall of Souls. Although the chief of the Hall of Souls would join the battle, the deputy chief and the Hun Feng, who gave him a dangerous feeling, were still around. He needed to maintain caution around those two. Xiao Chen quietly nodded in the face of Xiao Yang's words. He did not like to speak. Ever since he had been captured by the purifying demonic lotus flame back then, he had been immersed in the other party's illusion. Moreover, it was difficult for him to escape. If Xiao Yang had not rescued him, he would have sooner or later lost his mind to the purifying demonic lotus flame. He would have eventually become an ordinary fire slave that was controlled by the purifying demonic lotus flame. Having survived in the illusion for thousands of years caused Xiao Chen's temperamental character to become a lot more quiet and lonely. This loneliness had grown even greater after he heard Xiao Yang mention the decline of the Xiao clan. After all, he was no longer someone of this era. He was unable to lend a hand when the clan needed him the most. I'll trouble ancestor. Xiao Yang cupped his hands to Xiao Chen. There was no need to doubt Xiao Chen's powerful strength. Even the combination of Xi Yang and Ji Yu Nanhai were unable to gain much of an advantage against him. If one were to weigh his strength, he would likely be the strongest person present other than the purifying demonic lotus flame. Moreover, due to his aura being strange, it was likely that even the chief of the Hall of Souls would not be able to detect that the strength of this man with a numb expression was overwhelming. This character that others didn't know about would protect Xiao Yang's group. You are currently the only clan member of the Xiao clan who currently possesses the bloodline strength. Rest assured that I will do my best to protect you. Xiao Chen slowly shook his head before glancing at Xiao Yang's young face. As he studied this member from younger generation who shared the same bloodline as him, his somewhat numb face finally revealed a gentle smile for the first time. This talent of yours is many times stronger compared to mine. The Xiao clan will have a chance to be revitalized with you around. I have committed far too many reckless actions in the past and had brought much trouble on the clan members. Now that the heavens have given me this opportunity, I will contribute everything I have to the Xiao clan, even if it requires my life. Xiao Yang was quiet. He once again respectfully cupped his hands to Xiao Chen. Only then did he turn his head and quickly sweep his gaze around. There were a total of 8 experts present whose strength was at the 4th star of the Doshan class and above. Since Xiao Chen wasn't able to join the fight, there were only 7 individuals joining hands to fight the purifying demonic lotus flame. This lineup was relatively frightening. They would have a high chance of success even while facing the terrifying strength of the purifying demonic lotus flame. The chief of the Hall of Souls took the lead to step through the air while Xiao Yang was calculating their chances of victory in his heart. His body paused, and he appeared within 1,000 feet from the purifying demonic lotus flame. The remaining experts also moved their bodies and formed a circular shape around the purifying demonic lotus flame. 7 4-star Doshengs. Just this aura alone was worthy of shocking the world. The might from the 7 working together could cause the world to change. The other people around exchanged grave expressions with each other upon seeing the lineup in the sky. They swiftly pulled back in unison. There was nothing they could do to help during this earth-shaking battle. The purifying demonic lotus flame standing on a magma pillar smiled while everyone quickly pulled back. His handsome face slowly lifted into a strange smile. What a scene that one yearns for. Fire Demon Halberd. The purifying demonic lotus flame's hand gently clenched the air while he faced the endless sea of magma below. One could see a portion of the magma sea begin to churn. A dense white long flame halberd suddenly shot out of the magma and appeared in the hands of the purifying demonic lotus flame in a flash. I have been sealed for thousands of years. Today, anyone who blocks me shall die. The purifying demonic lotus flame suddenly lifted his head after the final word was suddenly emitted from his mouth. He widened his mouth, and a giant demonic flame wave that was a couple thousand feet large suddenly shot out. That terrifying temperature caused the expression of the Chief of the Hall of Souls and the others to change. Attack together. The eyes of the Chief of the Hall of Souls flickered. Black vapor surged out of his body in all directions. After which, the vapor appeared like churning clouds as they collided with that large fire wave, but the black fog scattered upon contact. The large fire wave separated and transformed into 7 huge fire pillars that ruthlessly smashed toward the 7 individuals. Xiao Yan and the rest did not dare to slight the purifying demonic lotus flame after sensing it unleash such a strength when attacking. Do Chi hurriedly surged from their bodies. Many shockingly powerful Do skills were formed. Bang bang. The fire pillars exploded in the sky. They appeared like the most beautiful fireworks ever displayed, but beneath that beauty hid a destructive force. Trump trump. Sparks erupted in the sky as 7 figures staggered back. Half of the clothes of Yao Wangue from the Yao clan and an elder of the Shi clan were burned, causing them to appear quite miserable. Their appearances clearly indicated that the 7 of them did not enjoy the slightest advantage against the purifying demonic lotus flame despite working together. Great tragedy hand. An icy-cold smile surfaced on the purifying demonic lotus flame's handsome face after obtaining an advantage with an attack. His body floated in the sky as his right hand suddenly grabbed at the sea of magma below. One could see the sea of magma below suddenly exploding as a 10,000-foot large magma hand broke away from the sea. It was accompanied by a shocking heat as it shot toward them. Boom! The speed of the magma hand was mind-boggling. The hand came and ruthlessly slammed into the 7 individuals as though they were houseflies before they could even retaliate. It emitted some splashing sound as it returned to the magma below. And like creatures? Xiao Yan's group watched this exchange. The shock on their faces became denser. 7 experts who had reached the 4th star of the Doshan class had ended up miserable due to the hands of the purifying demonic lotus flame. Although the purifying demonic lotus flame possessed the advantage in terms of terrain, this overwhelming attack was really a little too ferocious. Bang bang! The surface of the sea of magma exploded apart. A couple of miserable figures once again charged forward. They floated in the air, AA green and white mixed on their faces. They were all top-notch experts on the central plains. Since when had they been beaten into such a state? Everyone, if we continue to hold our strength back, we will not get a chance to attack again, the Chief of the Hall of Souls coldly cried out with a gloomy expression. They would likely begin to lose some people if this continued. The 6 others frowned upon hearing his words. The 2 fierce strikes from the purifying demonic lotus flame earlier had caused their bodies to suffer some injuries, especially injuries from the demonic flame force. They were momentarily unable to expel it despite their strength. We can only defeat the purifying demonic lotus flame before deciding on what to do. This thought flashed across everyone's minds. Their expressions slowly became grave. The originally vast and mighty auras of the 7 individuals floating beside the purifying demonic lotus flame swiftly soared. Roar? Xiao Yan's delicate figure shook as a dragon's roar reverberated across this realm. She transformed into a 10,000-foot large dragon phoenix body. She flapped her huge phoenix wings and stirred waves of hot tornadoes. A terrifying pressure also descended. Why does this ancient void dragon have such a form? The chief of the Hall of Souls looked at Xiao Yan's transformation. He was startled. His eyes slightly flickered. A moment later, he hurriedly tossed aside the doubt within his heart. His hand seals quickly changed. A vast and mighty do chi that caused even the world to tremble spread from his body. It seemed that he had begun to unleash all of his strength at this moment. The remaining 5 individuals clenched their teeth and ceased holding back after Xiao Yan and the chief of the Hall of Souls unleashed their full strengths. Wild wind blew over this area at this moment. Dark clouds gathered and thunderbolts raged. Even the magma sea region below had begun to wildly roar, stirring 1,000-foot large waves of magma. The 7 4-star Dosheng had finally displayed their greatest strengths. The purifying demonic lotus flame lifted his brow after sensing the sudden surge in everyone's auras. He coldly laughed, "It's only interesting this way. Fire slaves, kill everyone else. Just these fire slaves are enough." The purifying demonic lotus flame lowered his eyes. He glanced at Xiao Yan's group in the distance. A dense smile surfaced on his handsome face while his indifferent voice slowly gave a command. "Roar!" Those 10 Dosheng fire slaves suspended in the air suddenly opened their eyes after the purifying demonic lotus flame's word sounded. Those hollow eyes emitted 2 clusters of cream-colored purifying demonic lotus flames. Their bodies moved as they charged toward Xiao Yan's group without hesitation. The entire realm turned into an uproar in an instant. "Withdraw!" A grave expression surged onto the faces of Xiao Yan's group as they watched these Dosheng fire slaves rushing over. A soft cry sounded and he took the lead to pull back. Although there were many Doshengs on their side, they would not fearlessly charge forward and block these fire slaves, who knew no pain or fatigue. Zana and the rest hurriedly followed after seeing Xiao Yan withdraw. They did not head to those large groups of people. Instead, they found a spacious location of their own. Humph, some mere fire slaves dare to audaciously claim that they can finish off this chief. The deputy hall chief of the Hall of Souls coldly laughed, but he did not appear to panic. Given his advanced 3-star Dosheng strength, he could look down on the strongest fire slave present. Hence, he was not the least bit worried about the 10 elite Dosheng. "Deputy Hall Chief, do not take the initiative to attack. We will fight if a fire slave steps forward. Otherwise, let's just watch the show," Han Feng spoke in an indifferent voice. All right, the deputy chief of the Hall of Souls strangely laughed upon hearing this. His eyes were filled with ill intent as he looked at Xiao Yan. His eyes flickered. No one knew what he was thinking. The other experts hurriedly gathered together as the Dosheng fire slaves moved. Their eyes revealed some caution as they looked at the 10 fire figures who had appeared a short distance away in the blink of an eye. 10 fire figures appeared in front of everyone. Those hollow eyes slowly scanned the area before they rushed forward. All of them headed in different directions as they flew toward the target they had chosen beforehand. "Be careful!" Xiao Yan let out a low cry after seeing these fire slaves split up. Perhaps it was due to them having the most people, but 3 Dosheng fire slaves headed in their direction. The strongest among them was an advanced 2-star Dosheng. It was not very difficult to deal with them. "Leave the advanced 2-star Dosheng fire slave to me," Xiao Yan gently stretched his fingers as he spoke. "Leave that initial 2-star Dosheng to me." Zana also smiled and spoke. "In that case, I will deal with the last one." The first elder of the Pill Tower laughed. The final fire slave was an advanced 1-star Dosheng. Given his strength, it would not be difficult to obtain victory. Everyone else should be careful. "Pay attention to the activity of others," Xiao Yan cried out in a deep voice after the allocation of manpower was completed. His body moved, and he appeared in front of the advanced 2-star Dosheng fire slave. The vast and powerful Do Chi within his body moved. He clenched his hand and the heavy Xian ruler appeared in his palm. He quickly waved the ruler and ruthlessly hacked at that fire slave's head with a wild attack. A layer of cream-white fire burned on the body of that fire slave as it faced Xiao Yan's ferocious strike. The fire slave lifted its arm and forcefully blocked Xiao Yan's heavy ruler. Sparks shot out from the point of contact. Raw? After forcefully receiving this ruler strike from Xiao Yan, the cream-white flame on the body of the fire slave seemed to possess an intelligence of its own as it suddenly surged and turned into a ferocious huge mouth that bit at Xiao Yan. What a strange purifying demonic lotus flame. Xiao Yan was extremely afraid of the purifying demonic lotus flame. He could not allow these demonic flames to adhere to his body, so he moved and appeared behind the fire slave. Both of his hands were lifted. Dark black light circles spread from his hand with lightning-like speed. Great Heaven Creation Palm. 2 dark black light circles swiftly surfaced on Xiao Yan's palm. With his current strength, it was possible for him to use his other hand to unleash the Great Heaven Creation Palm. After all, his current strength might even be greater than the owner of the Great Heaven Creation Palm. Bang bang. The light circle surged before ruthlessly smashing into the Dosheng fire slave. An unusually powerful force struck the cream-white flame on the fire slave's body until it became a little dimmer, but this kind of damage was unable to hinder the attacks of the fire slave since it didn't possess any senses. The fire slave unleashed a sharp retaliation. This had caused Xiao Yang to momentarily panic, but he quickly focused his mind and gradually obtained the upper hand. He would scatter some of the cream-white flame on the fire slave's body each time a palm wind fell. Once the demonic flame on the fire slave's body completely vanished, its strength would diminish. While Xiao Yang was revealing his great might and pushing this advanced Dosheng fire slave toward defeat, both Sun and the First Elder also obtained quite a great result. The strength of the two of them was stronger than their respective fire slaves. Adding their agility and powerful Do skills, they were able to gain the upper hand despite feeling a little restrained because of their fear of the flames on those fire slaves. The entire sky above the Sea of Magma was enveloped in an array of extremely intense battles. Of course, the most fiery, hot and terrifying aspect was naturally the 100,000-foot-wide battleground at the middle. It was the battleground of the 7 4-star Dosheng and the purifying demonic lotus flame. After the 7 cooperating 4-star Doshengs unleashed their full strength, the purifying demonic lotus flame began to get entangled with them. Regardless of how strong it was, the heavenly flame's opponents still had a far greater number of people. Moreover, all of them possessed a lot of battle experience. Although it was their first time working together, their cooperation was operational. Even the purifying demonic lotus flame had to brace its attention when their combined attacks came and treat them seriously. No one dared step into this 100,000-foot large battleground in the sky. Frightening storms whistled within it. Waves of entwining energy storms spread in an extremely chaotic manner that did not differentiate between friend or foe. Anyone swept into it would suffer a fatal blow. There were many relatively smaller battles taking place outside of the big battleground. This was where Xiao Yan's group was battling the fire slaves. Xiao Yan's group had been allocated 3 of the 10 Dosheng fire slaves. The remaining 7 had also sank into an intense battle with the other experts. There were quite a number of experts who had stepped into the demonic flame realm this time around. If one were to count their numbers, they would far surpass these 10 Dosheng fire slaves. However, in terms of quality, they were somewhat inferior to these fire slaves. Among the 10 fire slaves, everyone had discovered that there were 2 who had reached the 3rd star of the Dosheng class after a battle. One of the 2 3-star Dosheng was being held back by the deputy chief of the Hall of Souls while no one else could block the other. After all, those 4-star Doshengs were already fighting the purifying demonic lotus flame. The strongest person present was the deputy chief of the Hall of Souls, but even he had been caught up in the big battle. This final 3-star Dosheng seemed to have become a fierce wolf as it charged into a herd of goat and went on a rampage. Any expert it met was frightened to the point of retreating. In the end, 3 experts, whose strength had barely reached the 2nd star of the Dosheng class, ended up holding it back. Of course, there were still some elite Dozuns, who had luckily survived remaining in the sky. Most of these people might be at the peak of the Dozun class, but they did not dare to get involved in a battle between Doshengs. Each and every one of them could only flee and get as far away as possible. Only at this moment did they discover just how foolish it was to enter this demonic flame realm. Yellow spring palm. An enormous energy palm suddenly formed in the sky. It was accompanied by a vast and mighty strength as it ruthlessly smashed into the body of the fire slave. A frightening force scattered the final demonic flame on the fire slave's body. After this final flame was scattered, that fire slave, which had been going all out to attack, suddenly became much slower. Its might was greatly diminished as it attacked. Looks like these flames are their source of energy. Xiao Yan mused within his heart upon noticing this change. It seemed that this fire slave was not as perfect as he had imagined. I wonder if I can use the earlier spiritual symbol from that light cluster to temporarily obtain control of this fire slave. Xiao Yan's eyes flickered. His eyes swiftly swept around him as his heart pounded. If he could control these fire slaves, his strength would undoubtedly soar. Xiao Yan acted the moment after he thought about using the symbol since he understood the current situation. His body moved and he appeared in front of that fire slave. The space became still with a wave of his hand. That weakened fire slave froze. At the same time, Xiao Yan's finger swiftly formed a mysterious fluctuation. He drew a mysterious symbol on the forehead of that fire slave by using his spiritual strength. Go! The symbol was imprinted onto the forehead of the fire slave as Xiao Yan cried out the moment it was formed. This symbol merged with the fire slave's skin before it entered its mind. Bang! After this spiritual symbol entered the mind of the fire slave, Xiao Yan quickly sensed an extreme heat being emitted from the other party's mind. He was able to use a feeling to see the deepest part of the fire slave's mind. There was a cream-white fire bead lingering in that spot, and inside the fire bead was an extremely terrifying energy. The spiritual symbol invaded the fire slave's mind. It lingered around the cream-white fire bead before it emitted wave after wave of mysterious barriers. It slowly began to isolate the fire bead. An additional feeling appeared in Xiao Yan's heart the moment the fire bead was isolated. His heart moved and the fire slave in front of him quietly lowered its arm. It quietly stood beside him like a servant. I am able to control it. A wild joy that could not be hidden immediately appeared on Xiao Yan's face after he realized he could control it. If he were able to control these 10 fire slaves, the lineup beneath him would erupt like a rocket. At that time, it would be possible for him to destroy the Hall of Souls. The Dosheng fire slave quietly stood beside Xiao Yan with a numb and hollow face. Only that terrifying energy fluctuation that was vaguely being emitted from its body allowed one to feel just how powerful it was. However, this symbol can only temporarily control the fire slave. Once the purifying demonic lotus flame splits its attention, the heavenly flame will definitely use the fire bead to break the symbol seal and once again obtain control of the fire slave. Xiao Yan's eyes scanned the fire slave beside him. A slight flicker flashed within them. In order to completely control the fire slave, he needed to finish off that fire bead within its mind because that fire bead was the only way the purifying demonic lotus flame could control them. However, the purifying demonic lotus flame probably can't split its attention. Finishing off that fire bead was not something Xiao Yan would be able to do within a short period of time. Hence, he did not entertain this thought for long. He swept his eyes across the other battles. The fire slaves battling Zun and the First Elder had been suppressed to the point that they were forced to retreat. The dense white flame on their bodies had become dimmer. From the looks of it, it was only a matter of time before they obtained victory. Xiao Yan sighed in relief after verifying that Zun and the First Elder weren't experiencing any problems. He was just about to turn away when an extremely overbearing energy fluctuation was suddenly emitted from a short distance away. The heavenly flame within Xiao Yan's body trembled slightly because of this fluctuation. The movement of the heavenly flame within his body caused Xiao Yan to lift his eyebrows. His eyes followed the direction the fluctuation had originated from. In that direction, one could see a fire floating in the sky. A pair of 1,000-foot large flame wings extended from the backside of the fire. Those flame wings were flapped and flames spread in all directions like a storm. These flames filled with an overbearing feeling. Is this the 8th Wasteland Destruction Flame? Envy involuntarily flashed across Xiao Yan's eyes as he looked at the pale black flame behind Xian. The 8th Wasteland Destruction Flame was an overbearing flame. It was ranked 6th on the Heavenly Flame ranking. There was no need to detail its great strength since just this ranking alone explained everything. Xian's strength might be inferior to his opponent's might, but with the help of the 8th Wasteland Destruction Flame, the Fire Slave, which had reached the advanced first star of the Doshan class, was being beaten until it was unable to retaliate. If the demonic flame wasn't blocking most of the invasion of the Wasteland Destruction Flame, it would have been quickly defeated. Being born in such a big clan is indeed a blessing. At the very least their resources are not something that an ordinary person can compare with, Xiao Yang softly sighed. Honestly speaking, even he desired a heavenly flame like the 8th Wasteland Destruction Flame. He had roamed the continent in order to find heavenly flames, but the highest-ranked heavenly flame he found was the 9th-ranked, the 3,000 Burning Flames. This was lacking compared to the 8th Wasteland Destruction Flame. Bang! A low and deep mutter was emitted from another direction while Xiao Yang was quietly sighing within his heart. His eyes followed the sound before slightly narrowing. Hunfeng and an advanced 2-star Dosheng were fighting there. Both parties boasted similar strength, but that fight was not a stalemate. Instead, it was unusually swift and furious. Xiao Yang merely saw Hunfeng gently land a palm on the Fire Slave's body. After which, the demonic flame on the surface of Fire Slave's body turned into a line of fire that swiftly rushed into Hunfeng's palm. It looked as though the demonic flame was being devoured. He actually dares to swallow the demonic flame. Even Xiao Yang's expression involuntarily changed after seeing this scene. Although these demonic flames did not possess the will of the actual purifying demonic lotus flame, they still possessed an exterminating force. Even he did not dare to simply swallow these flames, but this Hunfeng actually dared to devour them. Given Hunfeng's character, this was definitely not a reckless act. By putting it this way, Hunfeng was confident he could swallow these demonic flames. Even Xiao Yang, who had practiced the flame mantra, did not possess such an ability. Hunfeng's scarlet tongue licked his lips after devouring the Fire Slave's demonic flame. He appeared as though he had not enjoyed it enough, but he seemed to have sensed Xiao Yang's eyes. He turned his head and stared at Xiao Yang. After seeing Xiao Yang's expression, his lips was involuntarily lifted into a dense smile. This fellow is indeed a little mysterious. Xiao Yang's expression gradually returned to its usual calm. His heart reinforced the caution he felt for Hunfeng. The feeling that Hunfeng gave him was the most dangerous among all the members of the younger generation. Hiss! A sudden and extremely frightening energy fluctuation exploded from that huge battle some distance away while a caution soared within Xiao Yang's heart. A sharp howl was suddenly emitted from the mouth of someone. This howl clearly originated from the purifying demonic lotus flame, but there seemed to be an additional fury and wounded feeling in his current voice. It seemed that the combined attack from 7 4-star Doshengs caused someone as powerful as him to feel quite terrible. Fighting with large numbers ultimately possessed its strength, especially when this sea of people was made up of elite Duoshengs. Bang! Xiao Yang's eyes landed on the enormous battleground. He was just about to speak when his expression suddenly changed. His head suddenly swung to a fire slave a short distance away. He saw a shocking light suddenly shoot out of the eyes of the fire slaves. An unusually wild and violent energy rippled with lightning-like speed. Quick, withdraw. It is about to self-destruct. Xiao Yang was quiet for an instant after seeing this light. He hurriedly cried out to Sun Yao Lao's group revealed shocked faces upon hearing Xiao Yang's cry. A self-destructing elite Dosheng was not a simple matter. Such a strength possessed the ability to destroy the world. Bang! The fire slave's body swelled at a speed visible to the naked eye while Yao Lao's group hurriedly pulled back. After which, the body exploded apart in front of many shocked pairs of eyes. An indescribably frightening energy storm swept across the sky with a shocking speed. 100,000-foot large crack forcefully tore through the air down to the magma sea region tens of thousands of feet below. It reached the deepest region of the magma. Some of the unlucky individuals, who were slow to run, ended up spitting out fresh blood after the violent energy gently swept through their bodies. A mouthful of fresh blood was spat out. Every inch of the meridians in their bodies was shattered as their flesh broke apart. The fire slave had self-destructed and nearly caused everyone, other than those from the big battleground, to explosively pull back. After the first fire slave self-destructed, the remaining individuals' eyes, other than the fire slave being controlled by Xiao Yan, emitted an intense light pillar at this moment. After which, their faces were completely dull as they chased Xiao Yan and the rest who had begun to flee. Even experts like the deputy hall chief began to swiftly withdraw when they saw these fire slaves fearlessly charge over. Even someone as powerful as them could only temporarily hide when an elite Dosheng self-destructed. Bang bang. Although Xiao Yan's group's reactions were quick and were able to escape a calamity, not everyone was this lucky. A couple of fire slaves had charged in front of some experts just prior to exploding. After which, they exploded in front of these experts' stunned eyes. A destructive energy shattered those unlucky people into nothing. After a couple of earth-shaking explosions echoed across this realm, over half of the number of experts who had entered the demonic flame realm were lost. Some of those who had luckily survived revealed stunned eyes as they looked at the 100,000-foot-large magma hole. They did not expect these fire slaves to actually self-destruct. 6 out of 9 fire slaves had successfully self-destructed. The remaining 3 were unlucky enough to be caught within the terrifying explosions from the other self-destructing fire slaves. Hence, before they could self-destruct, they were shattered into nothing by wild and violent energy. The eyes of Xiao Yan's group were dull as they stared at the completely empty and cloudless sky. They immediately became quiet. These self-destructing fire slaves had nearly caused them to die. This purifying demonic lotus flame is really ruthless. It has simply allowed its Dosheng fire slaves to self-destruct. This grand manner is something that even the Han clan and the Jiyu clan cannot do. Xiao Yan inhaled a deep breath of air and spoke with some lingering fear in his heart. Zana and the others nodded in agreement by the side. All elite Doshengs were precious. Who would allow them to self-destruct? Everyone, lend me your strength. Now is the best moment to seal the demonic flame. A loud cry suddenly reverberated from the enormous battle in the distance while Xiao Yan's group was sighing in relief from having escaped a calamity. The chief of the Hall of Souls charged toward the sky with a miserable appearance before he slammed against empty air. 100,000-foot large black formation appeared in the sky. The middle of the large formation locked onto the purifying demonic lotus flame below. It is actually the Qianlu sealing demon formation. Zana immediately let out an exclamation upon seeing the enormous black formation in the sky. From her expression, it was obvious that this formation was quite famous. All right. It was clear that even Jiyu Nanhai and the rest recognized this large formation, but they could not worry much at this critical moment. They rapidly considered the situation before furiously crying out. 6 vast and mighty energy pillars that caused one to tremble surged out from all directions. They charged into the large formation in the sky. The somewhat pale-looking chief of the Hall of Souls hurriedly changed his hand seal after being supported by such a vast and mighty energy. The large formation shook. A completely black pillar that was covered in mysterious symbols suddenly erupted from the middle of the formation. It smashed into the purifying demonic lotus flame below with lightning-like speed. Qianlu refining flame. Essence transformation. A heated expression surfaced on the face of the chief of the Hall of Souls in the sky. His eyes greedily looked at the purifying demonic lotus flame below, which had been struck. The purifying demonic lotus flame would have difficulty escaping. This video will end here.